Hello again, it's your internet dad, sharing life lessons I offered my own sons in my series covering a whole raft of subjects. Today's talk is part of my Dress for Success series, and the title is Bespoke Tailoring. Bespoke tailoring means it's not off the rack, it's not assembled or adjusted or assembled from parts. It starts as a bolt of cloth and it finishes as a suit that will fit you and no one else exactly like you in the world. Now, a lot of my Dress for Success advice is for young men starting out, how they can look sharp on a budget. But I also want to introduce the idea of aspirational thoughts on your part. And as you become more successful, you can think in terms of a bespoke suit, just like my expensive watches. So think big. Now, suits that are made for you in the bespoke sense are more expensive than off the rack. But if they're good material, well made, and fit you, they're cheaper in the end, just like the suit that I'm wearing today, which is 30 years old. It's good material, fits me like a glove, I feel comfortable with it. If I'd bought a cheaper suit, I would probably have bought 3 or 4, at least in that 30-year period. Now, I've had tailored suits, tailored blazers, tailored shirts, tailored top coats, and even tailored shoes. But what I want to talk about today is your first bespoke suit, which will likely be single-breasted. Now, a tailored suit has two costs, two very distinct costs. The cost of the material and the cost of the tailoring. It makes no sense whatsoever to have really good tailoring and use it on cheap suiting material. So get the best that you can afford. The best wool is from mills in England or Italy, but any good tailor should be able to get hold of the best wherever you live. Now, wool for suiting and top coats is measured on the so-called super scale, super 100s through super 200s. And it's just finer wool, and you should be able to tell the difference between a super 100 and a super 180 just by its feel and richness. The other measurement of wool is its weight, and it's measured as in ounces for 1 yard of the same material. So for ordinary suits, probably 7 to 12 ounce wool will fit you, work well for you. For top coats, it'll go up to 19 ounce, and for summer suits, it might go as little as 7. So get it appropriate to where you live. The basic principle of bespoke tailoring is, to borrow a phrase from computers, it's called WYSIWYG. It only works in computers, it doesn't work in tailoring. What you see is not necessarily what you get. A suit is made inside out, and all the construction is on the inside. And when it's finished, it's shaken outside again, and the bottom hem sewed up is ready for you to put it on. When you choose the material, do so carefully. Go more conservative than a little bit crazy, because it's going to be with you for many, many years. Once you've chosen the material, you can choose the lining, and here you can be a little bit adventurous. You could have red lining for a navy blue suit, green lining for a gray suit, or even canary yellow, because remember, as you button your jacket, you don't see the lining. And it's fun and different to be that way. Whenever you choose the material, have the bolt undone, bolt of wool, and drape it over your arm. Take a look at it, what it looks like to you on your arm, and feel what it's like, because it's going to be with you for some time. Now, at this stage, before even cutting begins, you've got to decide whether you're going to go for a single vent at the back or two side vents. I personally favor side vents for a number of reasons, but do check out my video Dress for Success, Getting Down to Business, because it explains everything for you. Now you've decided the material, you're ready to go, the humbling process begins. You'll be measured for your new suit. The tailor will note that one of your shoulders is probably slightly lower than the other. One of your arms may be longer and one of your legs may be longer. But all of this will be corrected by the tailor. Now, if you bought a suit off the peg, it's likely that the front of the suit is so-called fused. Now, fused is a polite way for glue. And so the front is glued to the underlying material. And over time, this may pucker if it gets wet or if it gets dry cleaned. In a bespoke suit, glue's never used. You have, in effect, a piece of canvas which more or less floats in the front of your jacket and will always keep the correct drape. It will also help with the curve of the lapels of your suit. When you order the suit, make sure that all the buttons undo, even though you'll never undo them, and make sure that they're horn buttons, not plastic. Remember to bring your wallet and your cell phone. The tailor will make pockets in your jacket to fit them, if that's what you like. I tend to go for both belt loops and suspender buttons. The buttons are sewn on the inside of the pant leg, so it gives you the flexibility of how you want to do it. One cute idea you can have is in the actual seam of the pant up here, you can have a little pocket. It's called a ticket pocket or an opera ticket pocket. And that's interesting. You may never use it, but it's a nice feature. Much more useful, I found, is a loop that's sewn in right at the front above the zip of the pants. And you use that, stick the prong of your belt buckle through the loop, and then do up your belt. And it'll always center in the middle of your suit. Now, your pants should be lined to below the knee, not the full way because it'll tend to be hot, and certainly not shorter than below the knee because, of course, the friction as you sit down, you need the lining. Now, you can go for turn-ups at the bottom of your pants or plain bottoms. I personally favor turn-ups in my suits because it hangs better, and I favor no turn-ups in my more casual slacks or summer suits because you can actually get them tailored with a slightly longer back than front, just about an inch, but it looks quite elegant over the shoe. Regardless of whether you have turn-ups or plain bottoms, the length of the pant leg should break slightly around mid-calf, in other words, just below your kneecap. No puddles, please, and no waving of your pant leg in the air and showing your socks. Now, the most obvious sign that you've got a tailored suit, other than the perfect fit, which will be a source of pleasure to you, is the buttonhole that everyone has on their lapel. And the cheap way of doing this is what I would call keyhole, where they sew across, turn around, and sew back again. And it looks like a keyhole. Much better that it's straight across, both upper and below, and that means it was hand done. The other hand done aspect will be the outer side of your lapels. Should be some very, very neat stitching. It's a sign of a bespoke suit. one final touch, which isn't that important, but it's what we call a rose loop, and that is just below the flower slot here is a piece of thread loop that's for the end of your flower to go through. It's called a rose loop. Very unimportant, and most people won't ever notice that it's there, but it's a good sign of a bespoke suit. When I was growing up, we heard the rumor that when you were dancing with a girl, that frequently, as you were dancing, she would run her finger up the inside of the lapel to see if she could feel the rose loop, and she would know that your suit was bespoke and well made. Frivolous, you can ignore it, but what you can't ignore is that if you've chosen correctly and you've got good material and you've got a good tailor, you will have a suit that you can walk into a room with complete confidence. So follow my rules, and you will end up with a wonderful suit that you can wear for 10, 20, 30 years, just like I did. So here's to you, to your tailor, to the material, and I hope it all measures up.